art in education doesn't actually develop your skill or make you think critically as an artist. I think I kind of have to start off this video by saying I don't actually have that much of a traditional art education background. I was homeschooled for a good 11 years and I did art throughout that homeschool period. Then I went into middle school, did art for 3 years there. Then I went into American high school, did art for 2 years there. Then I came to the UK, did art for sixth form, so that was pretty much the majority of what I studied. And then I came to university. So when I say that I don't have a traditional art and education background, it really means that I did not go through the normal routes as one might do if you just went to school throughout America, school throughout Bermuda, or school throughout the UK. However, that has given me a lot of insight as well into how art education operates in those different countries and with these different systems. And I can say for sure that none of that really helps you to develop as an artist. Let's talk about it. So like I said before, I've always been involved in art and education. When I was homeschooled, I would always be doing art on the side. I didn't have cable or internet, so the only thing left to do was to paint, draw, and read, which is what I did a lot. When I got into middle school, which was in public school, I took art every single year, maybe twice a week, every week. And then when I got home, because I still didn't have internet or cable, I just drew, painted, and read. Same thing. When I went to America for high school, the system was a bit different there. So for instance, in Bermuda, you could take art and you would have it twice a week along with your other electives if you took other electives. In America, you had the same class every single day. So for instance, I would have art every single morning. Then I came to the UK and I decided to take BTech Art and Design. Again, I was doing art pretty much every day. And then I came to university. From all those different experiences boiled into one, what I realized was that art and education doesn't actually help to develop your skills. So for instance, in middle school, we would spend 1 week on the face, like how to draw the face, the structure of the face. We would spend 1 week on perspective. And then we would just go spend 1 week on this, spend 1 week on that, and keep on going. The same, and it was kind of the same in America as well. It was not actually teaching you sculpture skills. It was more like, this is what a pot looks like. You can make this style. Or this is the history behind this clay, or something like that. When I got into sixth form, it was a little bit different. So in the UK, it was actually, I would say this period in time is probably when I did the most development on my art. And this is because I had to like push out because it was really important that I got a good grade in sixth form so I can get into a university. And so art was taking up all of my time. And I would go home and paint. I would paint on free periods. I would paint. Sometimes I would skip lunch and just paint. And this was really just so I could get into university. So this is when I developed the most. This is also when I gained the most art knowledge as well. I had a teacher that really liked oil paints. So this was my first time using oil paints. And she taught us how to use oil paints, what to mix them with. She taught us about acrylic, what acrylic is made out of, art history, different paint mediums that you can add to the paint, and things like that. So that was really when I got like actual good knowledge about materials in art, instead of just art history and draw this. Yeah, maybe this is just me, but when I was, thinking about how I wanted to get into university and what, studying art in university would be like, I had assumed that it would look something like in the movies, like, I don't know, I had to get into this university because this university will help me develop into the artist that I want to become. And when I actually got here, it was a different case. So what you don't realize, or what I didn't realize, was that University isn't there to help you develop your skill. You need to have the skill before you get into university because you are getting accepted on that skill. They're not going to develop your skill. They're going to try to just get you to practice as an artist and think about your work and just make whatever you want. But they're not actually there to help you develop your skill. And that was something that unfortunately led to a lot of imposter syndrome, which I've talked about in my previous videos. But it's not something that I had realized. All that time when I was, from the age of like 9 to 16, I had thought that once I get into university, I'm gonna have so much time to develop my art skill. They're gonna really push me into developing my art skill. I'm gonna get better. And that wasn't actually the case. Shocking. And then so when I ended up at university and I was with a lot of people that have had a different range of skill level, I felt so left behind because I was like, I thought that this was going to get me to set me up into the situations where I can learn more and develop my skill. But in reality, they take you as you come. At the skill level that I was, that was all I was going to get to, if that makes any sense. Now this could be different because I went to university in the UK. I don't know what it's like in America, but that's what it was like in the UK. Just want to say, if you made it to this point of the video, you're obviously enjoying something that I have to say, so you might as well like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. And so it's taken me now. I graduated 2 years ago, and it's really taking me now to discover and realize that the only way to get better at art is to be inspired yourself to get better at art. No amount of school and education and classes is going to teach you how to get better at art unless you already have that drive to want to do it and do it in your free time. Literally the only thing that you can do is sit down and study art and practice art as much as you can, which is something that I wish I realized when I was younger. I think a little of this makes sense, like that people always say practice every day, and then you improve. But I guess when I was younger, what I didn't realize was that it's up to me to improve my skill. It's not up to the university I go to or the classes that I take. And that's something that I've just learned now, which is a little bit exciting actually, because I feel like now I'm finally getting excited about art, I'm finally like, I can't wait to learn more, and maybe I'm just on a high right now. But the nice thing about it is that like I keep learning new things, and even though I'm not the best painter in the world, I don't know, just something about it is just fun. And I think this just has to do with learning in general. You're never going to learn a new language by sitting down and rigidly studying it. You actually have to have an interest in the language and actually enjoy learning the language to learn the language. Some people may disagree with me, but I think something that I kind of didn't account for was, I don't know, the structure or the rigidness of learning education, like learning how to do art within traditional education, because in that there's a set structure. You have a teacher teaching you things, you have things that you have to care about, like you have to know the history of art movements, like I don't know, Cubism, pop art, the Renaissance. You have to know art history, and then you have to draw, or you get to know some basic skills. But it's like one-way education. People are just feeding you things. Whereas when you're actually in kind of learning it because you want to learn it, or learning it and doing self-directed study, it's a little different actually. Like you can pick and choose what you want to study. You can pick and choose what you want to learn about. I'm not saying that, studying art history isn't important, because it definitely is. It's more like using learning art history as a tool to help you develop your own practice rather than learning about art history and then writing an essay on it to get a grade, if that makes any sense. Like for me personally, does it make any sense me studying Cubism? Not really, because I don't want to do anything within Cubism. Does it make any sense for me to practice anything about maybe the Renaissance? Probably, because I like, I don't know, probably. That's kind of like the art that I like more. But my point is that you can pick and choose. Pick and choose what works for you. Pick and choose what, you need to know, what you don't need to know. Something that's been really exciting for me is, and I'll get it and I'll show you. I actually went to the library and picked up some books about lighting and art and painting and applying paint. And that's not really something I've ever done before. Like, whenever I went to go get a book about art, it would be to write an essay about it, to get a good grade for it. But this time I actually went because I'm genuinely interested in that topic and how it could help develop my work. And not only that, I've actually started reading the books, which is crazy. Because normally I'd go to the library and be like, oh yeah, maybe I could read this, whatever. Maybe this will help my essay, whatever. And then like maybe read a page and then just have the book in my house until it's due and then renew it 3 times and then finally take it back. I'm actually on page 29 of this book because I'm just finding it so interesting. And I just want you to know, I got this literally 2 days ago and I've actually been reading it because I'm actually finding it interesting. I'm finding it actually helping my art practice and helping me to understand more. It's exciting. The learning process for me is actually exciting, and I feel like it's actually benefiting me in some ways. Like, I'll show you actually this painting that I was working on yesterday. I don't know if you can see this. I'll take a better video. It's not done yet, so maybe I'll show the completed one later. But this is because this came about from me specifically looking at, I got this book called Mastering Composition, and I was like, I want to improve my composition. I want to make my artworks more interesting, more engaging for my audience. How do I do that? And then so I got this book and I saw this one composition that used like horizontals and verticals, and I was like, oh my god, like I actually really like this painting. How can I apply this into my own painting? And that's what I did. And though it's not perfect at all, it's exciting. Like, it's exciting. It's me seeing an idea and seeing something out there and then recreating it myself or making it into something that I could use myself. And I've never done that before in art. Like, I've studied Van Gogh, or Van Gogh, I don't know, how do you say his name? I've studied Vincent, I've studied Monet, Louise Louise. I've looked at all different types of artists, and I've never once been like, oh, I really like what they're doing, let me see how I can include it in my own work before. Because before it was just a one-way thing. It was teacher sets an assignment, me, I need a grade, let's read about this artist, even though I don't care about them, let's read about them, write an essay about it, maybe do a homage and a pastiche, and then go about my day, never touching that artist again. What is the point in that? Why are some art movements more important than others? And also, what I do understand a little bit about studying art history and like respecting art history as well. But in terms of being an artist and like being a curious person and cultivating that curiosity and creativity in a child, wouldn't it be better to nurture the thoughts that they already have and to customize the education to the needs that they have? If a child is more interested, if you show a child a bunch of pictures let's say like a child, like, I don't know, a 13-year-old, let's show a 13-year-old a bunch of different artworks, a bunch of pictures, and they choose like 2 or 3 that really stand out to them. Why can't they be able to tailor their education and their art education to studying about those specific techniques and those specific artists, those specific movements? You know, why is it we have to study the Renaissance, we have to study Cubism, we have to study Dada? You know, who gets to choose these art movements? And why do we have to learn what you think is important, basically, you know? But that's kind of a rant. The point that I'm trying to make is that when you're discovering something for yourself and discovering what excites you, that is enough to have you learn, you know? I'm kind of going everywhere with these thoughts, but I'm not articulating how I want to say it in a proper way. I just think that there's such an opportunity out there to really help curate and really help cultivate some talented individuals if you just let us naturally discover what we want to study and what we want to go into ourselves, instead of this rigid box that we call education. But whatever, that is on a tangent on another thing. Some of the ways that I've been kind of developing my art skills and my art knowledge is really just, again, books, but also actually watching YouTube videos like art profs or some artists that do tutorials and why they choose certain colors and how they lay things out. And it's just things that I never thought about before because I wasn't exposed to it, you know. And this could be because of the art teacher that you have, or just because you never thought to look. I've gone to some classes, actually, art classes, and I funded them myself, which is crazy because I don't have a lot of money. But I went to some art classes because I was like, why not invest in this thing that I want to learn more about? And this is the thing, it's like, when you want to learn more about it, you don't mind spending the money. When you're excited about it, you don't mind spending the money. I think the goal that we get with art, whatever art we're doing, and I know my art's not perfect, but whatever goal it is, if you make it fun, you make it interesting, and you make it free of constraints, it will come naturally to you. And develop it in your free time. Develop it as much as you can, especially if you're trying to, you know, make a career out of it like I am. But also there has to be a level of play involved when you're learning, you know, anything. There has to be a level of play, of experimentation, of failure. And of enjoying the journey. And this is kind of almost like, I'm definitely in a high right now, but it's addictive a little bit. Like, it's addictive that realizing that you've learned something. Like on this painting, let me tell you, light is one of the things that intimidates me the most. You know, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to paint light. And somehow I got it. It's not perfect, but somehow I got it on like the top of this fish head. I don't know how I did that. Or I'll show you another one that I did yesterday. It's like, I drew this completely from my imagination. I looked at a composition that I liked from this composition book that I got from the library. And then I was like, oh my god, it would be really cool to recreate that composition in another form. And then I was like, okay, let's do another fish. And then I was like, okay, how do I do a fish? Let's start with basic shapes. Okay, I've got the basic shape. I've got kind of what I want to do with it. I did a bit of sketches to understand how I wanted it to lay. And then I was like, okay, I know what type of fish I want to do. Let's then find a reference just to make sure that I'm doing the angles right, that I've got the body structure right. And basically, with the reference that I chose, you wouldn't be able to tell that it helped inform this at all. But it's just the fact that that was never something that I could do before, and something that I would be intimidated by. Like, how do you draw something out of your head? And now it's like, because I've been working on my art for, you know, a few months now, because I've been trying new things, it's like I'm finding ways to problem solve my problems in terms of how to create an artwork. And that's just really exciting. Anyway, I know this video has gone on a bit of a tangent, and it's not really, I didn't really have anything that insightful to say. But sometimes it doesn't have to be. Sometimes you can just make videos to talk about stuff. And it doesn't have to have a conclusion. It doesn't have to be insightful. It doesn't really have to have that much value. Sometimes you just do it because you want to and you think it'll be enjoyable to do. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. My name is Loquat Layla. That is Layla with an I, not an E or a Y. Thank you. I make videos mostly about art and being in your 20s. So if you like that sort of thing, definitely subscribe and check out my other videos. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Bye!